Hey guys, and welcome to another brand new video. In this video, we're going to be talking about quite a few different things where I'm pretty happy I didn't do any weird April Fool's jokes. The temptation was there, don't be honest, but I've been kind of busy all throughout today, so you guys don't mind a little lack of videos. But if you guys are curious, we actually have some really cool news in regards to the collection of a lot of big PlayStation 5 studios basically coming together to, well, kind of make a super brand new, I guess, lack of better system, like engine slash build up slash process slash things for like your games. I don't know how to explain it, but I'll explain it better as I ramble throughout the video. And as well, also some pretty cool big 20-year anniversaries, so some really big companies being formed, and I feel like kind of big things when it comes to the overall gaming community, while not being so happy so far with the PlayStation VR, as we even talked about before. So let's go talk about this, talk about these, I guess, drama, details, whatever you guys want to go call it. And of course, I hope none of you guys got someone accidentally pregnant or divorced or whatever it might be all throughout today. So make sure you guys are subscribed with the notifications on. We have the Twitter and Twitch stream down below. If you guys are bored, I'll be hanging up on the Twitch stream itself. Probably like 20 minutes or so if you guys are bored. We'll also have the Amazon links down below, and give me your thoughts and comments as well down below. So one of the bigger things out here too, because as you guys know, PlayStation actually has done and made their own specific engines, or as well have worked with other companies or kind of somewhat outsourced their own specific game engines. Now, typically a lot of big games nowadays are built on things like Unreal or other various big, I guess, general systems too, say Unity, Unreal, are probably the two biggest ones. And then a lot of big indie games are built on those, or sometimes these kind of big studios that are big, but they want to make sure everything's working. They don't want to spend the millions upon millions of dollars making their own studios, etc., etc. All this put together, well, makes it so they just use those. But one big thing to note is bigger game companies such as, let's say, Ubisoft. Although I despise their game engine and I despise everything in between, well, they still have it. They still made it. They still have it developed and they're using it. I hate it. I hate a lot of the Ubisoft games. And there's certain other various games too, I believe even EA also might sometimes use their own individual engines. But a big thing is that PlayStation and Sony does have their own specific engine, which is why a lot of the times these games are specifically built from the ground up, take a very long time to make, or games like Ghost of Tsushima are slightly on the different side in terms of like colors and schemes and maybe even physics engines, because it's just built completely different. It's kind of like if you want to go and, let's say, I don't know, go to a restaurant. Every restaurant's going to be slightly different, of course, but if you go to like a Panda Express or a McDonald's throughout the nation, they'll be pretty similar. But if you go to a homegrown mom and pop store, it's still similar. You can still get a burger, but sometimes they go slightly different, slightly more in tune, or focus more on, say, onion rings, or maybe want to put different types of cheeses. Probably an awful metaphor, but it's just different. It could be the same concept, similar things, but like just because it's built in a completely different ground up way, they can be different. I think most of you guys understand that. But so with all that news put together, several PlayStation studios are now making games in Horizon Forbidden West engine, and it's also the same engine that also brought us Death Stranding. And as well, whenever these game devs are kind of using and building and optimizing, I guess, I don't know, homegrown individual things like these studios or whatever the type, like these, I don't know, I feel like I'm so bad with the wording for this video. It's like they have all these different types of like engines and systems, but as you build up the systems, it's kind of convoluted. You basically get to go and change things or change the code, etc. It's like if your buddy's the guy who literally made the game engine and he's across the hall because the engine team was building on this stuff, they could always be like, hey, we want to have this be added. Is it possible? Oh, it is? Okay, we'll help you. Or hey, like we don't want to have this. Can we get rid of this to help with load? You're basically talking to the maker of the system, and you can go and have these nice easy connections and conversations and build something completely different than we can get on like a Unity or say an Unreal. I hope all this rambling kind of makes sense. So basically right now, there are several first-party PlayStation studios making games in Horizon Forbidden West game engine. And as you guys know, Horizon Forbidden West was a very solid game engine, and as well, it was also very pretty colorful, and as well for any future PlayStation games too as well. I don't know a good word for it. Basically, for all that stuff, it just makes it seem nice. Like, just basically, it's gonna be homegrown. It's gonna be easy to optimize. It's gonna be easy if you have a PlayStation 5 console. So Decima is Guerrilla Games' in-house engine, which means they specifically built it itself, which was first used to make the PlayStation 4 launch title Killzone Shadowfall, which once again, I'm still surprised we have not seen a PlayStation 5 Killzone so far as well. And then later used for games including Horizon Zero Dawn, Until Dawn, and also Death Stranding, which if you guys remember almost all those games, besides maybe Until Dawn, I'll be honest, Until Dawn did look good. It was nice, but wasn't, super crazy. But I think Death Stranding was very, very well reviewed for looking good. Same with Horizon Zero Dawn. And now an updated version of the engine was used to develop now Horizon Forbidden West. Now that also kind of goes to what I was rambling about before, where like you could have this base ground engine, say like Unreal, but then you could have it be developed over time or for specific use cases or niches to make it even better over time and make it more utilizable. It'd be really nice. And it's also now being used by multiple PlayStation studios now for upcoming games. So that basically means if you guys do like the style the optimization, the graphics, or everything in between, even maybe like the physics, etc., boss lighting, or whatever. If you guys are impressed with literally Horizon Forbidden West, Horizon Forbidden Dawn, Death Stranding, or all that type of stuff, it's like, it's big, it's good. This is really good news because it means that we're now seeing them use all these millions upon millions of dollars to go and develop this stuff. It was also revealed in a recent Famitsu interview with PlayStation Studios head Herman Holst, who was in the middle of answering a question about a collaboration between studios when he said this. And this is one of the bigger things out here too that I think is cool. Of course, there is also the sharing of technology, which dives into the fact if you can go up to like the office across the hall and ask Dave, can we do this? How can we do this? How can we make this better? And as they say this, where it says, of course, there is sharing of technology. For example, there are several studios using Guerrilla Games' Decima engine. We also place importance on improving our technology, and we share the idea among the studios, which is like them kind of collectively coming together to say, hey, we want this. We want to make this better. How can we make this better? What engine can be utilized for us? And that's one thing I actually really respect on Sony too, and I want to hear your thoughts on down below. Because a lot of game companies will just default to Unreal, and it works. Like, Unreal is probably one of the best game engines. But I do feel like if you're a multi-billion-dollar company, if you think of like an Ubisoft, EA, or even PlayStation, Xbox, etc., yeah, you probably should have your own game engine because there's going to be specific things that you want to have made happen that you might not be able to, or at least have a very, very strong connection with something like, say, Epic Games for their Unreal Engine. And I mean, if you have like Microsoft money, you can hire hundreds of people, you can build this stuff all up from the ground up and make it custom and hopefully be utilized in different games. Although that's why I don't really like Ubisoft, because I don't like the Ubisoft games, I'll be honest with you guys. And I don't like their game engine. Just the graphics seem off, seem very grayscaled out. It's just not good. I don't like it. So Holst didn't just reveal exactly what games are in development using this brand new Decima engine, but whatever Kojima's cooking up could be one of them. So probably Death Stranding 2, because if they use it for Death Stranding 1, and then they also use it for Horizon Zero Dawn, why would they not then use it for both of the upcoming titles, especially with Horizon Forbidden West actually being pretty well received, especially on the PlayStation 5. And of course, too, as well, Until Dawn Studios' supermassive most recent effort, The Quarry, was developed in Unreal Engine 4, but it's not outside the possibility that it's working on something new in Decima, which would also make sense too as well, because I think they have a few different games all planned up, and it might have a pretty good close tie-in, how it has, same with, Hideo Kojima, with their PlayStation counterparts. We do also know, though, that PlayStation is making a big push in the PC, mobile, and live service markets, and Holst said in the recent interview that PlayStation Studios live service games could launch simultaneously in the future on PC and PlayStation consoles, which I do think would be a really big hit as well, which we may want to go do a proper video into in the future, in case you guys would want that, so make sure you guys are subscribed for that. That said, he's assured multiple times that PlayStation isn't straying from the single-player narrative games, too, as well, that they're most produced for. So I think this is a really cool big update, where you have a chance now for them to be making and developing huge different games on brand new engines that have been utilized before already with experience, and it can go a lot better from that. Now, as well, if you guys just did go and miss it, Square Enix. 20 years ago now, Square and Enix, which actually did go and make them the original game studio, did go and team up to create an RPG powerhouse. So it's kind of a little bit of a big homage over here, where 20 years ago, two Japanese RPG rivals joined forces, making one of the biggest acts of video game consolidations of all time. It's kind of a cool merger to look back to as well, as of April 1st, 20 years ago. So very intriguing stuff on this. Basically saying over here, basically like late in 2002, when the announcement came, two massive Japanese game publishers, Square, known as Squaresoft in the West, and Enix would be merging into a single company effective as of April 1st. This meant that the holders of the number 1 and number 2 RPG franchises in Japan, which was Dragon Quest and Final Fantasy, were going to combine their forces. And basically for them, they were even saying they lived in Japan, and it was a really big deal because everyone's like, oh my god, what's going on here? What's going on in general? Everyone's hyped up for it, and these are basically two huge gaming rivals combining. It's like almost the equivalent of, let's say, like a Nintendo and an Xbox at the time, kind of combining. Maybe not as big, but still. So basically, Square was first and foremost a game development and publishing company, while Enix did was more of a multifaceted company, publishing not just software, but they also did the books and manga, which is why you guys might still see a lot of Square Enix like animes and other various types of things still being published, because the game company is expanded. It grew over time, which I think is always a very big, nice thing to go and see. Square, though, was also through a publishing partnership with Electronic Arts, or EA, was doing also quite well in the West, and it was basically an all-around global, basically, business. It was really cool because this is Dragon Quest. Like, Dragon Quest may not be as popular as it is nowadays, but back in the day, it was very big. There's still animes that happen all the time. Games keep on making, like even the Builder games do. And as well, there was a lot of big PlayStation, even 2 connections back in the day. It was just cool. It was just a really kind of big start to a lot of big major companies. And at the end of the day, I think think it worked out very well for them. Like, Square Enix is still kind of kicking pretty well, besides other weird crypto and NFT drama. I think it turned out pretty good. There is also another big drama too with the PlayStation VR, but maybe I'll just save it for some videos tomorrow because gaming news has been a little on the lighter side, and that has been kind of an interesting topic I want to maybe do a little bit more of a deeper dive in. So make sure you guys are subscribed with the notifications on. We have the Twitter and Twitch room down below. Sorry for kind of the weirder videos nowadays. I think everything's kind of going out the place with just gaming news, etc., as I'm also kind of messing around my setup. So I appreciate you guys always so much for watching here in the first place. Subscribe, Twitch, and Twitter down below, and I appreciate you guys all so much for watching in the first place.